Good week so far. It's the 13th of March, 2012, and welcome to the Craft of Making an eBook webinar. This is actually the second of a series of educational webinars on eBook publishing, and this is brought to you by Flipside Digital Content Incorporated, one of the pioneers in eBook conversion in the Philippines, and Mayor Virtual Consulting, the foremost authority in webinars and virtual events in the country. I am your host, Carlo Vergara. And like previous webinars, tonight's session will start with our expert speakers talking about their specialized topic, to be followed by a question and answer portion. Now, as mentioned by Jam a while ago, there are two ways for you to ask questions. You can actually type your questions in the question box appearing in on your monitor, or if you want to ask your questions live via voice and you have a microphone headset, we can actually turn on your mic later on during the question and answer portion, and you can actually interact with our expert speakers. Let's now proceed. I will introduce you now to our expert speakers. There are actually three of them. The first one is RJ Villarroel, who for more than 13 years has served in sales and general management capacities in the pre-press and publishing sector. As production director of Flipside Digital Content Company Incorporated, RJ owns responsibility for all aspects of production and research and development. Our second speaker is Edmon Samson. He is the production manager in Flipside Digital Content. He started out as an ebook research and development associate in the early days of Flipside. And all in all, he has been in the ebook making industry for 12 years, gaining extensive knowledge on how to create different ebook formats. He is currently the team leader of Flipside's research and development team. Our third speaker is Dano. He is a developer at Flipside and has nearly 2 years of ebook conversion experience. His expertise is in developing the tools and methodology for ebook production, as well as research on creating special ebook formats. This is a very technical webinar, so for those who are not techie type of persons, we ask you to be patient. This is a webinar on the handcrafting of ebooks. It's not like all those templated type of ebooks, which don't really produce professional results. What our speakers will show you is the step-by-step procedure on how to create a professionally, and as they say, a pretty ebook. So that's something that you can really be proud of. So without further ado, let's bring in the first speaker, RJ Villarroel. Good evening, RJ. The floor is yours.
Good. Yes. Thank you, Carlo. Good day, everyone, or good evening to some of us. This short webinar will introduce the author and ebook publishing enabler on Flipside's ebook creation process. It emulates the traditions of typesetting, where the person is more involved in rendering the pages of a book. This came about due to the limitations that we experienced with the available EPUB authoring softwares and the constant innovations in ebook technology. Yes, everybody knows there are free and commercial ebook authoring softwares in the market. We tried most of them, but none was satisfactory and cost-efficient for us. In the end, we decided that the most efficient method was to hand code our HTML and produce high-quality ebooks. Now, this webinar aims to teach how to format your book into a universal file that complies with every ebook reader, whether it may be a .mobi reader or an Amazon format reader, or an EPUB format in your iPad, iPhone, or Android-enabled phones and tablets. Now, we will start first with the basic tools that you'll be needing. There will be 4. First is HTML, XML, and CSS knowledge. Of course, as any writer would know, you know how to write to be able to write something. To be able to do an EPUB, you must know either the basics of HTML, XML, and CSS. The second tool would be text editors. Text editors are applications or software that are readily available in the World Wide Web or in our favorite retailers. Noted are some free ones like Notepad or Notepad++. They're mainly for Windows, and then TextMate for Mac OS X. The third tool would be the EPUB authoring tools. They're widely available either on the web as shareware like Calibre, Sigil, and also one can purchase InDesign and Dreamweaver in their favorite retail outlets. The fourth tool would be zip tools. This is also important because this is how you package your EPUB. Preferably, one should use WinZip. That's our favorite. Now, I will turn over the next chapter of the webinar, which are the guidelines in creating an ebook. I'll turn you over to Mr. Edmon Samson. Edmon will momentarily start the webinar, continue on the webinar.
It's paused. Hello? What's happening?
Yes. Edmond, are you there?
Yes?
Yes, you're good to go.
I cannot see my screen. Okay, sige. Okay. Are you seeing my screen? I can see my screen. It's now paused. Why is it paused?
Okay, Edmond, apologize for the technical difficulties here. Edmond, what we'll do is we'll give RJ back the presenter rights, and then we'll just open up your mic. So RJ, if you can just, I'm going to make you presenter right now. And if you can just show the slides, and we'll have Edmond more or less just talk. All right? There you go. Edmond, go ahead.
Okay. I can see. There. Okay, so good evening to all attendees. Let's proceed to the guidelines in creating an ebook. So EPUB is the digital publishing standard which is standardized by IDPF, or the International Digital Publishing Forum. EPUB is now the widely used ebook format by many publishers because of its flexibility and compliance with many e-readers. So first thing for you to be equipped is to be familiar with the three EPUB standards. EPUB consists of three standards. First one is the OPS, or the Open Packaging Structure, which is the file format and content structure of files. It is a content markup standard which you can see in our XHTML files. Second one is the OPF, or Open Packaging Format, which is the metadata, or container of book information. It holds book author name, title, ISBN, publisher, files used, and reading order. This will help facilitate the use of this packaging technology by other standards bodies. The third one is the OCF, or Open Container Format, which is the specification of what container or holder should be used when packaging the book. It defines the standard mechanism by which all components of an electronic publication can be packaged together into a single file for transmission, delivery, and archival. On to the next slide. What is inside an EPUB file? In the illustration, you will see the Flipside standard EPUB directory structure, which consists of the EPUB folder, the meta-INF folder, the OEBPS folder, and the MIME type file. Under the meta-INF, you will see the container.xml file. Inside the OEBPS, the HTML folder, along with the content.opf file and the TOC-NCX file. Inside the HTML folder, you'll see the folder for doc images where you place all the image files. The meta-INF folder contains the XML file. Container.xml tells the reader software We're in the zip file location of the book. As you can see in the illustration, okay, scan. Okay, there you go. So you see the full path syntax, wherein you can see the relative path of the content.opf file. The OEBPS folder, this is where you locate the book's contents. The directory and the file names used are Flipside's directory and file aliases for data and file organization. It contains the HTML folder where you place the HTML file, and the doc images folder where you place all the image files. Content.opf is the open packaging format file that holds the information about the book. I can say that this is the heart of the EPUB file, as this holds the information, all the information about the book, and where you declare all the files used. The illustration, you can see in the illustration the complete OPF structure, and we'll further explain the details in later slides. TOC.ncx file. This illustrates the structure of the TOC.ncx. This is the file where you control its navigation panel or the external TOC. Order of the declared files should be uniquely numbered in ascending order. Any duplication in the nav order will return an error. Next slide is the MIME type file location. So as I've said before, MIME type location should be inside the EPUB folder together with the meta-INF folder and the OEBPS folder. MIME type informs a reading platform or operating system that this is an EPUB file. Will be later discussed on our next chapter, step-by-step guide to creating an EPUB. So for our next chapter, we'll be discussing step-by-step from creation of the directory structure, where you are going to place the needed files, how to properly code your book, what to consider in formatting, the .opf and .ncx files coding, how to test and validate your EPUB, and the common EPUB conversion issues. Step 1, create the EPUB directory. The file names of the folders shouldn't have spaces. Step 2, you place all images including covers in the doc images folder. In this illustration, you are selecting all the image folder. So right click, then choose copy. Then go to the doc images folder, right click, then paste. There's the output. Step 3, place the HTML file in the HTML folder in the EPUB directory. So as you can see, this is the HTML file. Inside it is the HTML file. Step 4, edit the HTML file in a text editor. You can use any HTML editing software you want, as long as the HTML coding is XHTML compliant. This illustration shows you how to for our presentation, we'll be using Notepad. So if you right click on the .html file, then edit it with Notepad. Choose edit with Notepad. This is an example of an HTML source code. So first step for the HTML editing is to remove all tags and declarations except title tag before body tag. We are referring to the HTML tag on top of the HTML code up to the closing head tag, which we will be replaced by this whole declaration of tags. Next is use style. We use style attribute when styling the HTML file. Using CSS style attribute for deprecated HTML tag attributes such as center, border, and alignment tags. For our standard, we always use CSS style attribute to ensure it will not give us an error. So in the illustration, you will see on the left side the PDF file, and on the right side the equivalent HTML source code. You can see we are using CSS style attribute. Example of this is this: style is equal to text indent 0 to give the line no indentions, and margin top 25% to give the white space on top of it. So next step is make sure the HTML codes and tags are W3C compliant. Example, tags are lowercase and has an end tag. Here you will see all the HTML tags from the HTML opening to the paragraph tags. It's all in lowercase. Also the CSS style attributes. It's all lowercase and has an end tag. Okay. Next step, we split the HTML file into separate HTML files with file size not exceeding 250 KB. The important thing is all files must have the same header. The header I am referring to is this header. So our suggestion would be you split all sections as per HTML, per chapter, per part, and so on. Step 5, create the content.opf file inside the OEBPS folder. The illustration shows the complete structure of the OPF file, which consists of the metadata part, the manifest part, the spine part, and the guide part. The metadata part, all information about the book are located here. So you will see on the illustration the book title, the author name, the publisher, the copyright, the ISBN, the language, and the cover. On the manifest part, all files here declared here are used for constructing the book. As you can see in the illustration, each declaration has its own unique ID. The href part, which is the directory, the relative file path, plus the file, and the media type. which is the MIME type of the file. The spine part. The spine handles the desired content order of the EPUB. The ID ref here is relative to the manifest's item ID. This handles the order of the declaration of the ID ref will be the exact order in the ebook. The fourth part is the guide part. The guide part, this is where we declare parts of every book. And three necessary parts of that every book should have for universality is the type cover, TOC, and text. So next half of this chapter will be continued and discussed by my colleague Warren Dano of our Research and Development Department.
The detailed explanation. Thank you, Mr. Samson, for the detailed explanation. I will take over from here. Now let's move to the toc.ncx file. toc.ncx is the table of contents of the ebook reader. Aside from the book or content own TOC or table of contents, ebook readers has the capability to generate its own TOC based on a file, which is the toc.ncx file. This allows ebook authors to create a navigation panel or TOC for ebook readers. Now you will see in the illustration the template of our toc.ncx file. I will highlight the values that should the ebook authors to change. Here, book title, the play order and desired value, also the desired caption, and the relative file path of the HTML file. The content attribute here can be the ISBN number of the book or anything you may think of, just as long it is a unique character or unique text. Then the doc titles section requires the book title value. Here, the value is used by some reader to display the book title on the title bar. The nav point section is where we declare the TOC entry label or caption. Here, we have a default entry which we call cover, which the source file or the HTML file is located in the root folder or in the toc.ncx file location. The play order is incrementing and must have a unique value so that it will not generate an error when viewed in an ebook reader. Then we will create the container.xml file inside the meta-inf folder. Here, you will see the container.xml file inside the meta-inf folder and the template of the container.xml file. As Mr. Edmon said earlier, that the attribute full path contains the location of the content.opf file. Basically, this file will instruct the ebook reader where the OPF file is located. Then we will create the MIME type file, which is also its file name, the MIME type, with no extension. This tells the ebook reader that the file is an EPUB. Here you will see in the illustration the content of the MIME type file, which is application/epub plus zip, which tells that it is an EPUB file contained in a zip package. Okay, after that, we will zip all the contents of the EPUB directory. You will see the warning that the MIME type must be the first file in the zip package. The reason is that this must be the first file to be read by the reading system, which is the MIME type file. As we can see in the illustration, we achieve it using WinZip by pressing right-click, select WinZip, then click Add to EPUB.zip. Now that we have the EPUB.zip file, we will rename it to EPUB.epub. The illustration shows us how we rename the EPUB.zip to EPUB.epub. Here, in Windows OS, pressing F2, then rename that zip to EPUB. Then we will ask whether we accept it. Yes, we must accept it. Then after that, now we have our EPUB, that EPUB file or EPUB file. We will check the file using EPUB checkers, using the IDPF standard or IDPF supported validator tool. It's located in the URL here. Then the illustration shows us how we will check our file or validate our file in the IDPF validator tool. First, we will choose a file, or we will choose the EPUB file we will validate. Here we select the EPUB file we created earlier. Then we will press validate. After that, the file is uploaded to the validator tool in the server of IDPF. After the uploading, here the result. They will display the result of the validation of the EPUB file. If the validation is successful, our EPUB is now ready for field or device testing. We will see how our EPUB is rendered in the devices, and later on revise if the output is not what we expected. If the output is not what we want in the device or in the reading systems. In case our EPUB failed in the validation process, that the display in this page is not what we want, displays error or validation errors, or it will produce an error log which we will use to debug our file or our EPUB file later. Then we have an optional process. We have an option to create our own Kindle file. In creating a Kindle or Mobi file, we will use here the Kindle Previewer, because Kindle Previewer is also a Kindle device emulator, and also EPUB converter or content.opf or OPF file converter into Mobi file. The illustration, it shows how we convert our EPUB file into Kindle format or Mobi format. By pressing right-click, open with Kindle Previewer. Then after that, it will show the error log or the log output of the Kindle Previewer. You will see here that the output file has been generated here. If you click the link, which is the caption is here, after generated, it will bring you to the what we call this Windows folder or the Windows location of the file. Then in the below, we will see the log of the file. When we press OK, Kindle Previewer display the output MOBI file. And if you click the device, it will display all the Kindle devices or Kindle readers available in the Kindle Previewer. Now, for the testing of EPUBs, there are two steps in testing EPUB. As we discussed earlier, the validation or the first part of the validation or testing process is using the EPUB check or the validator of the IDPF organization. We have discussed earlier how we use the IDPF validator. Then the second is the reader platform or field testing. Here we will test our EPUB to see or to view how our EPUB or our ebook rendered in a certain device, such as Adobe Digital Editions for PC and Mac, iPhone, iTouch, or any iOS devices that has an iBook software. Take note that our iOS and the iBook software must be updated. Sometimes Apple specifically release an update which is crucial in the ebook creation process, and or any e-ink reader for Kindle 1, 2, 3 or Kindle Touch. MOBI file is used to view or test the MOBI file here in Kindle 1, 2, 3, and the EPUB file in Nook, Kobo, and Sony Reader. Then the common conversion issues that the ebook author face. These are covers should render clearly in all reading platforms, which is the cover images, missing or incomplete or inaccurate metadata entries, which are book titles, authors that has some typos, etc., or content that OPF file has misdeclared attributes or tags, or XML tags rather. Broken navigation links and hyperlinks. Some hyperlinks or links are not well checked, especially if you are offline or doesn't have an internet. Or special and foreign language characters not rendering properly. These are, or most probably, are Greek characters, Chinese characters, Hebrew characters, and low resolution or missing images. Missing images means the images are not properly saved or not use the proper profile. Now, this concludes our step-by-step guide on creating the handcrafted EPUB. We are glad to answer all your queries and questions in the Q&A portion. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Warren. Did I mention a while ago that this was technical? Well, I hope you guys, the participants tonight, were able to get more or less a gist of what's going on. I myself am not a very techie person, so it was kind of a little bit of a struggle for me to actually go through this. And more or less you can appreciate the kind of process that these technical people have to go through in order to convert your content into professional looking ebooks. Before we go on to our question and answer portion, let's have our speakers take a bit of a break for a while and allow me to do some little promotions. If in case you want to have your ebook converted, you can always go to flipsidecontent.com or email them at business@flipsidecontent.com, or you can call them at 570-9255. Again, this webinar is co-presented to you by Mayor Virtual Consulting. If you are an expert in a field or if you're an organization and would like to hold a special webinar for audiences outside of your city or to audiences in another country, you can do that by contacting Mayor Virtual Consulting. You can do that by emailing Jam Mayor, that's Jam, J-A-M, at mayorvirtualconsulting.com. Or you can go to Facebook and like us on Facebook. You can log in and go to Philippine Webinars, the Philippine Webinars page, and you can always like that. Incidentally, we have another webinar which is not related to ebook publishing. On March 21st, on Tuesday, 9 p.m., we have a different kind of webinar. It's called From Friend Zone to Love Zone. It's a relationship webinar, and we have an expert speaker on relationships, Miss Eileen Santos. Again, if you want to know more about how to go from the friend zone to the love zone, join us on March 21st. That's a Tuesday at 9 p.m. So there. If you have any questions, again, you can type it in the questions window, or if you want to speak to our expert speakers via voice, you can click on the raise your hand button and we'll gladly acknowledge you. We already have a few questions here. RJ, are you there? Edmon?
I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here now.
Okay,
Hi,
our
good evening.
first question, yes. Our first question is from E.K. Gonzalez. Thank you, E.K., for joining us. Essentially, he's not a technical person, so he's asking, as someone who doesn't know HTML at this level, how can I format my draft so as not to annoy someone who knows how to do all this programming? So he's coming from someone who doesn't really know anything about programming. So what does he do with his manuscript so it'll be easier for you guys when you do the conversion?
Well, when somebody gives us a manuscript, first of all, we have to examine if it's pure text or if it has a lot of images, because we have to see first if it's a lot of images. Well, as a medium for novels, for straight novels, for what do you call those kind of books? For simple text content. But then later on, people put additional content like images, audio, and video, and things gets complicated. The file gets heavy. When a file gets heavy, you have to be concerned also about transmission, meaning transferring the file from one person to another through the internet. So, but first of all, if a person wants to convert their content, to convert their manuscript, the best way is to actually consult us. We won't be adverse to asking any questions about how his works can be properly enabled in ebook. So we're not aloof enough to say that we would be irritated in looking at people's manuscripts.
Okay. Our next question is by Joanna Teodoro. She asks, so basically we are linking images via HTML.
Correct. But I think Edmon would be the best person to answer that question.
Hello. Yes, we are linking images through the HTML coding by declaring the images in there to view in the output EPUB.
Okay. Our next question is by Joanne Rico. She asks, I'm sorry, it's a follow-up question by Joanna Teodoro. She's asking if we will be using the EPUB tool for the HTML platform.
What EPUB tool?
Yeah, the question is, so we will be using the EPUB tool for the HTML platform. I'm not sure if that is a clear question for you.
Yes, they can use the any EPUB authoring tool for creating the EPUB, as long as they're gonna code it as to be as XHTML compliant.
Okay. Our next question comes from Arnold Meridor. I believe he would like to ask his question by voice. Arnold, are you there? Hello, Arnold. Arnold? Well, Arnold, if you're on another planet, I'm sorry. There's something technical wrong. Maybe you could type in your question. We have another voice question from Susie Garcia. Susie, are you with us? Susie? Okay, so there might be another technical problem on her side. Let's go to Liza Donato. Liza. Okay, we are getting some weird sounds over the audio. Let's go forward to the ones that were typed in our questions window. Pinky Serafika asks, why do you need a validator? RJ?
Warren would like to answer that question.
Warren, okay.
I am. The validator will fasten the ebook creation process by validating all the tags used, and also to validate whether the EPUB file will render properly or will render all the styles used in the EPUB file in the EPUB reading systems.
So basically, we use the EPUB validators so that we know firsthand that it would be easy. It would be accepted in all the devices, in all e-reading devices.
Yes.
Okay, and that's opposed to the testing of the ebook. So you have to validate it and then you have to test it. What then goes into the testing?
The testing process will help the ebook authors to view their content or their EPUB files in the devices, or how the devices render their EPUB in different platforms such as iOS, Android, and the PC or Mac versions of the EPUB readers.
Okay, so the validation is just to show us that the programming is okay, and then the testing is to test whether it appears as it's supposed to be on the ebook readers.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right.
Also, I'd like to add to what hello?
Go on.
Yes, I'd like to add to what Edmon and Warren said. The validator is used to make sure that your ebook is, as they said, is well formed. Because if not, ebook distributors like iBook, Amazon will reject your ebook, so that you won't be able to distribute it. Now, the field testing is to make sure that your ebook looks pretty, meaning if all your italicized words are italicized, all your images appear, all the images are high res. So that's why you need to view it in a reader or a previewer so that you'll be able to see if your ebook does look pretty. I hope that answers some of the questions that the person has.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear enough. Moving on to the next question, Pinky Serafika has a follow-up question. Will there be any intellectual property problems if your work is original and hasn't been published? I don't know if this is within the scope of your expertise.
Well, yes, we can answer that. Well, yes, as long you have to have your work what do you call that? Copyrighted, or what do you call that? Well, the way we do it is we actually, if you, for example, if you go to a distribution entity, like for example, Flipreads. Flipreads, we do publish works, ebooks, publish ebook works by making sure that the author is protected by signing a license agreement, by signing either a co-publishing agreement or a what's a distribution license contract. But then, if they distribute it through us, our system ensures that her book won't be pirated. And also that the author should own the copyright of his or her work. But if they distribute it through our system, if they own their own work, we will protect their copyright by ensuring that each book has is only licensed to one user. We use the Adobe Content Server system, like what Amazon uses on their own storefront. So does that answer her question, or does she have a follow-up question?
If there's a follow-up question to your answer, it can always be typed in the question box, and we'll ask it again. But we can move forward. We have a question from Liza Donato. Why should some of the tags you mentioned a while ago be avoided, such as alignment and center tags? Why do we need to avoid those tags in formatting?
Okay, Edmon will answer the question.
Yes, we avoid it too because some of the HTML tags we've said, like the alignment attributes, are now deprecated in HTML files, and the EPUB check are returning an error from it. The validators are returning errors from it.
Okay, so we're saying that the validators can essentially read those tags, so best to avoid them.
Yes.
Okay. Our next question is from Esther Cariaga. She asks, you mentioned that the file for OEBPS should be an XHTML. Can I use a regular HTML in creating an EPUB?
Edmon will answer the question.
Yes, you can use a regular HTML as your base file for an EPUB, as long as all the tags are lowercase and all the tags are has an end tag.
Okay. Our next question will be from Joanna Teodoro again. Is there a specific tool that you need to use to create EPUBs?
Come again?
Is there a specific tool that you need for EPUBs?
For creating an EPUB?
I think she's asking, in creating EPUBs, is there a specific tool that you need to use?
No, what kind of tool? The caliber, sigil?
I'm sorry, RJ?
We are not we're not suggesting any tool from Caliber or Sigil because their what do you call this? Their formatting is not that good. Plus, you will have a hard time editing on the HTML tags it produced. Also for the special characters. Sometimes it affects the text integrity, so we do not really suggest Sigil or Caliber.
But is there a specific tool that you would recommend?
We would recommend Notepad, yes.
Simple
We have
Notepad.
our proprietary tool, but we can't say
Of
it.
course. Of course, companies have their secrets. So, but for those who want to try it out, the simple Notepad is a good place to start.
Yes, yes.
It is. Okay, our next question comes from Arvin Elo. He's asking, so there's a conversion needed for ebook creation. Is PDF conversion enough?
Again, please, can we hear the question again, please?
Yeah, Arvin asks, so there's a conversion still needed for ebook creation. Is PDF conversion enough?
PDF. Well, yes, PDF can be a source of the EPUB. They could use PDF to convert, as the source material, and then one can convert the PDF into an HTML. From HTML, we can convert it into an EPUB.
I see. So even if you have a PDF, you still have to go through the entire process of conversion to be able to create the EPUB.
Correct. But as Edmon said, there are ebook authoring software like Sigil and Caliber. But if you push it through those, definitely your book will come out as an EPUB. But yes, it's just an EPUB, but it won't be validated as such unless there were preparations made in the PDF file. But that's a lot more complicated. But if you already have a PDF file that was generated through either any other software, most likely it will not come out pretty. It will either all the text will be left aligned. There will be if you have italicized words or sometimes even block letters, those might turn out as just plain text, or meaning not italicized or not blocked. Then maybe all your block quotes will become left aligned rather than centered. Sometimes that's what happens if you put a PDF file through Caliber or Sigil.
Okay, so essentially what we're saying, even if you have a PDF file, it won't necessarily translate into a nice EPUB file unless you do a lot of the back-end work.
Yes, correct. But see,
Okay.
the problem is once it's converted into an EPUB, and when you want to correct the EPUB file that came from Sigil or Caliber, it will take longer actually compared to if you started it hand coding it from the very beginning.
Okay. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Dennis Tuazo now has a question. If he wants to make his own ebook for personal consumption, so I assume that he really doesn't want a professional or pretty-looking ebook. What's the basic way to convert his manuscript to ebook format?
Okay. I think Warren will handle that question.
Hello. He can use any EPUB authoring tools such as Caliber and Sigil to generate his own or for his personal use EPUB.
Okay, and is Caliber and Sigil, do you have to pay for those software?
No, it's a freeware.
Okay, okay. But you're not necessarily guaranteed that you'll have a nice looking ebook.
Yes,
it just
yes,
converts
yes.
it. I see.
Yes, yes it is.
Okay. Joel Chua now has a question. Would it be possible in the current ebook technology to include animated images into ebooks?
Yes, yes, the current ebook technology can handle animated GIFs in the ebook or in a EPUB file, but um, only iOS devices or iBooks support that animated GIFs. But later on, the EPUB 3 is but later on the EPUB 3 technology is supporting that kind of images or animated GIFs files.
Okay, so what we're saying that for now only the is the Apple, right?
iBook,
The Apple only
yes,
yeah,
yes,
iBooks
yes.
only supports animated, but I'd like to think that in the future eventually the technology will advance and animated images will eventually reach the normal ebooks. Now our next question is from Esther Carriaga again. In EPUB version, can an EPUB 3 file run on EPUB 2 readers? If not, what can be done to fix it?
Yes.
Hello, I'll add something to that. No, EPUB 3, hello, EPUB 3 files are basically, can only be read in iOS devices, the iPhone, the iPad, and the iTouch. So far, they're the only ones who have proprietary interactive titles, meaning things that you can animate, things that you can point and it will open, things like that. For now, we can't, none of the other readers can handle EPUB 3 files. But hopefully by the end of the year, we will see a reader that can read EPUB 3 files. No longer, it won't be only iBooks or an iBook platform that can handle EPUB 3 files. So there's no real fix except for to wait, or either buy an iPad to read your EPUB 3 files, or wait till the latest EPUB 3 readers comes out.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. Let's go now to E.K. Gonzalez's question. He has a follow-up. What about RTF files?
Yes, RTF files can be converted into EPUB. You just have to use either, as I said, if it's for personal, as Warren said, for personal use, they can use Sigil or Calibre. But the best way is to really hand code it. If you want your EPUB to look really the way you want it to look.
Okay. Then we have a question again from Joanna Teodoro. If she's not using Windows, let's say she's using Linux or Ubuntu, will this process be the same for conversion?
Wow. Okay, Warren will handle that question.
Yes, the conversion will be the same as long as you hand code your EPUB. The process is the same.
Okay, so it's the software that you'll be using is it doesn't choose a specific OS. It runs on everything.
Yes.
Okay. Michelle Syria Cruz asks, are ebooks only text-based? Can we create e-comics? Are there readily available authoring tools that will convert images into ebooks?
Right now, we for comics or an image-based EPUB, we use the fixed layout version of the EPUB. And also the Mobifile, which we embed only the images in the HTML file, then set the viewport or the display area of the EPUB fixed rather than flowing, so that the images only displays in its full size when viewed in the devices. But fixed layout is only supported by iOS and also Kobo and Mobi or KF8 format.
Okay. Thank you for asking, Michelle. Arvin asks a follow-up question. So if a file is in PDF, is it a legit ebook?
Hello. Yes, a PDF is actually an ebook. So yes, PDF is an ebook.
Okay. Maybe just wants to get the definitions clear. Follow-up question from Esther Cariaga. Yes. So a regular HTML will affect the EPUB and it will run on different readers. Which do you prefer to use, XHTML or HTML5?
HTML5.
HTML5. HTML5 is basically EPUB 3. So one can use HTML5 as a source file.
Okay. Our next question is from Cresta Klassen. If one is not adept in using HTML, is there a way to convert a regular MS Word document file into an EPUB file?
Well, yes. That's why the EPUB authoring softwares are there. They can use, because these are, some are WYSIWYG EPUB authoring software. One can use Sigil or Calibre. But as I said, there's a lot of interface that the person needs to put in so that their ebooks will look the way they want it.
Okay, so what we're saying is if I have a Microsoft Word document and I want to convert it into an EPUB file, I can't do it within Microsoft Word. I have to use Calibre or Sigil to do that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, follow-up question from Esther Cariaga. I have an iPad. How can I make an EPUB 3 file? Can I use your standards to make such?
Yes, they can follow the HTML5 standard to make EPUB 3 files. They just have to know the CSS, CSS Universal Library, and then also XHTML codes. Yes, they can actually do their own interactive EPUB 3 files, and then, but then they can sideload it in their iBook.
Okay, but essentially they would need to know all the programming and all the good stuff on the back end.
Especially CSS, because EPUB 3 or HTML5 has a lot of script and CSS codes.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it answers the question. Thank you very much, Esther, for your question. Daniel Santiago asks, I'm laying out a book in Adobe InDesign that has a number of pictures in it. I assume I'll have to convert it to a PDF file first, but how do I make it into, or how do I convert it into HTML?
Oh, well, InDesign has a export tool for HTML. So they just, once he has the InDesign, I mean, once the person finished layouting it in InDesign, they can export it as an HTML file.
And it also puts in the tags for the placement of the pictures, etc.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Our next question is from a follow-up question from Arvin Elo. Do we need copyright registration for ebooks? Is it the same as regular books? Do we have to go to the intellectual property office?
Yes.
Okay, that's a very simple question. Answer for a very simple question. Next question is.
Oh, sorry.
From,
to add.
Yes.
Sorry, to add on to that question. Yes, they also have to get a new ISBN for it. It's just going to the National Library and getting it.
So essentially, the author has to do the copyright registration, and they have to also do the ISBN registration.
Correct.
So it's essentially just like what you would do for a regular print book.
Correct.
Okay. More questions from Esther Cariaga. Can I export an EPUB 3 file using InDesign?
No, no. Only
Okay.
HTML 2.0. 2.0? 2.2. I forgot now. Yeah.
Okay. She further asks, which do you prefer to use in making animations in EPUB files, CSS or JavaScript?
Both can be used. But, well, well, Warren probably has something to add to that. Warren?
Um, um, JavaScript will not handle the animation, but only handle the triggering of the animation, while CSS will handle the animation or transition effects.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope that answers the question, Esther. She also asks, what is the HTML5 standards for EPUB 3? I'm not sure if this was answered a while ago.
Warren will answer the question. Can you repeat the question because it's a bit vague?
Yeah, the question is, what is the HTML5 standard for EPUB 3?
Embedding of video and audio, and then the animation and transitions are the interactivity using JavaScript and scripts in CSS3.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if that answers Esther's question. Esther, maybe you can clarify if your questions have been answered. Liza Donato now has a question. I've tried making an animation using HTML and pure CSS. Why is it that when it is viewed in a browser, the size proportion looks normal, while when viewed in iBooks, it seems that the size proportion changed? Is there any problem in using pure CSS for animations?
He or she may review his HTML coding, especially the meta viewport part or meta viewport tag.
Okay, Liza, I hope that answers your question. If you want to have a follow-up question, you can always type it in. Now, these are some somehow unrelated to technical, but we'll ask them anyway. Hopefully, you guys can answer. Is Flipside looking for specific content to publish currently? That's asked by V. Santos.
And oh, yeah, so we're actually accepting manuscripts right now through Flipside Publishing Services. If they can go to the Flipside Publishing Services, the FlipReads website, they can submit their work through there.
Okay, is there any specific content?
Well, romance novels and science fiction novels, more on things that genre novels, and something that will sell internationally. The content should be more not localized but more globalized.
Okay.
Because our target is the international market.
And I think you can, those authors who are interested in tapping Flipside for conversion, you can always go to their blog and check out the submission guidelines. That's in flipsidepublishing.wordpress.com. Our next question again, Esther Cariaga asks, if animation can be done using CSS plus JavaScript, does it follow that I can make animations for EPUB 2 files as well?
Warren will answer that question, please.
And currently, EPUB 2 doesn't support interactivity.
Okay, how about animation?
Animation, EPUB 3, EPUB 2 doesn't support that. Only EPUB 3.
Okay. I hope that answers the question. Michelle Syria Cruz asks, she's wondering what local publishing companies accept and market ebooks, of course, apart from Flipside.
Well, all I know is just us.
Yes, of course.
that can that actually has a place to put it in, meaning to sell it.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Dennis Tuazon asks, would you recommend to convert printed educational books to ebooks since a lot of students use iPad nowadays?
Well, that's a particular, well, it depends on the format that that they want it in. But of course, yes, there's a lot of, I mean, students do use the iPad, but EPUB, it depends on the format that the school wants, the teachers want. But preferably for us, what we see is it's fitting for fixed EPUBs. You know, it's basically non-free-flowing text EPUBs. It's like a PDF, but it's an EPUB file.
Okay, and
if they want the, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I imagine that another issue for converting textbooks into ebooks would be the file size as well, since you said a while ago you need to separate the HTML files into 250 kilobyte sizes. So if you're converting a huge medical book, that would be a lot of work.
Yes, that will actually be a lot of work. But of course, will it be user-friendly? You know, actually, reflowable texts will lose, I mean, they will lose the educational layout elements. Because they, for example, when a teacher would say, or a friend would say, please go to page 236, how can you do that in an EPUB? You can't actually do that in a reflowable EPUB file, except if the EPUB file is the fixed layout, meaning it's like a book. I mean, it's like a PDF file with a fixed page count. I mean, that's the only way for people to actually have an easy way of using an EPUB file.
Or unless maybe if in the table of contents, it's there's a way for the navigation using the search boxes, etc.
Well, they can actually, what they can use is search it through a particular word. Like, for example, if the teacher says, go to chapter 3, Philippine birds, for example, that's what they will search. But the thing is, if there's a lot of words called Philippine birds inside the textbook, that will be a problem. They don't know exactly which page to go to unless they narrow it down. But teachers aren't used to that yet.
Okay.
So there's a lot of training involved from not just the student, but from the teachers, from the educators, etc.
Okay. Michelle Syria Cruz has a follow-up question. Is the EPUB file read-only?
Yes. If it's protected, yes. It is read-only. It can copy-paste, but I mean, you can copy-paste a particular section. For example, a paragraph, yes, you can copy-paste a paragraph.
Okay. She's asking if it's like a PDF, then it can be copied or edited, say, by Nitro Pro. Can EPUBs be copied and edited that way?
No, it cannot. No, it cannot.
Okay.
Not an entire, not even a page.
Okay, so it's safe that way.
Unless of course she's a techie. You know,
okay.
a hacker.
Okay. If she really makes an effort to want to copy it,
yes,
she'll find a way. Okay.
Yes. Like anything, you know, like anything that's available in the digitally available in the market.
Okay. Dino Manrique asks, why do we need to chop it up into 250 kilobyte blocks?
Okay, Edmon would answer that question.
Yes. We chop it up up to 250 KB only for the reading device to be easily loaded. So you will not get the the device is hanging because the file it opens is too large.
Okay, so it's really for the download, the convenience of downloading it faster.
No, for loading the
For
For loading.
the
Oh, for loading, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, Esther Carriaga continues with her questions. I have encountered an EPUB 2 file with animations, audios, videos, months before the IDPF standard for EPUB 3 files were out. How are they able to do that?
no, that's videos and audios. One can add audio and video in EPUB too, but
Okay.
using what do you use again for audio video? But that's only but that's only to view in iOS devices also, not in any other devices. But they use
and if it is really an
hello.
Okay, Warren got lost.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Anyway,
I hope
let's
that
proceed.
answers the question.
Okay, let's proceed to the next question first. How do you make an EPUB file read-only?
Well, one can do it by attaching a DRM on it,
Okay.
the digital rights management tag.
Okay.
So
And
one user can only use it.
okay. Lisa Donato asks, in your answer to Esther Carriaga's question, you said that the use of interactives and animations is not supported in EPUB 2. Why is that? We were able to embed some animations and interactivities in EPUB 2, and the file works fine when we tested it in iBooks.
Warren will answer that question, please.
During that time, I was implementing the ebooks, EPUB 3 features into their own format so that they will gain the what we call this the readers or the buyers to be engaged or to be first in the market who will release that, but it is only tied in the iBooks.
Okay, so essentially iBooks can show most anything and everything, even in
Yes.
EPUB 2.
Yes, but it is already an EPUB 3 file before IDPF ratified it. They only say that those type or those files are only their own proprietary formats.
Okay. She continues to ask, what is the fastest and most reliable way of converting a PDF file into an EPUB file?
Mr. RJ will answer that
Yeah,
question.
no, there's no real way to, no real fast way to convert a PDF file or a text file into a what's this EPUB file. Yes, one can use Calibre, but as I said, the results are not satisfactory. The most reliable really is hand coding.
Okay, so there's really a lot of work that you need to put into that. Well, we're running out of time. I have one last question, again from Esther Carriaga, about DRMs. How do you attach the DRM? I think it's in the file.
Yes, first of all, DRM is Adobe Content Server is the ones who sell the DRM system. Once you get it and you attach it through your distribution system, it will allocate it will make sure that that particular book can only be shared. Depends on how much you set it in within your own devices. But you have to have a content server, which you have to get from Adobe. Then that's the only way to attach a DRM. But there's no other way.
Okay. Just two more questions. One is from Joanna Teodoro. This is somewhat unrelated, but sort of related. Would there be another webinar concerning the how-tos of HTML?
Yes, there might be one, but we don't have anything planned yet.
Okay, and Carlos
Maybe we could do a poll.
asked, okay, maybe we can do a poll. Jam, can we do a poll? Anyway, Carlo follows it up with, do you have a soft copy of this presentation? Can we, maybe the participants or the attendees?
The PowerPoint. We will probably share the PowerPoint in on our website.
Okay.
Also,
well,
I would
yes.
I would like to add something regarding, because people are confusing EPUB 2 with audio and video as EPUB 2. Once you attach video or audio or animation to an HTML, it becomes EPUB 3 or HTML5. HTML5 is basically what they call EPUB 3. So once you attach audio, video, or animation in an EPUB 2 file, it's no longer called EPUB 2. It's called EPUB 3 or HTML5. I hope that clarifies some of the listeners' confusion on what particular EPUB is called.
Yes, I can understand. It's such a technical topic, so I'm sure there'll be some confusions that'll be running around. One final thing about the DRM, Esther asks, is the DRM for the device or is it for the ebook file?
It's for the ebook file.
I see. So is it something like you attach the file?
Yes. No, sorry, no. I thought it was. It's Adobe controls it through the Adobe Content Server.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much a technical topic. So maybe Esther can actually email you guys if she has further questions about it. I hope that's possible.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. I'd like to apologize to everyone. We have so many questions that needs to be answered. But if you wanna get in touch with these very intelligent guys, you can email them through business@flipsidecontent.com or visit their website at flipsidecontent.com. You can even call them through the numbers 570-9255. RJ, do you have any final words for our attendees about this very interesting topic?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the webinar. We know that an hour and a half is not enough to discuss the finer points of EPUB creation. It's actually, although we've been making ebooks for the past 10 years, it's just in the past 2 years that it has really, innovations have gone in. So all of these things, well, everybody's into it now, unlike before. So people are curious, but it takes a while for people to get the knowledge and the skills to make nice-looking EPUBs. When I say nice-looking EPUBs, it's like when you have what looks nearly like the printed book. Nearly meaning EPUB is very far away from what a printed book looks like because of the underlying technologies in HTML. I mean, making a poem is actually harder than making a straight novel because of the coding, the hand coding involved. You can't do poems, I mean, nice looking poems in Calibre or Sigil, for example. But I know, I feel bad that we can't answer everybody's question properly in this medium, but we do hope that in the future we will be able to address the questions of the people who attended, either through another webinar or maybe we will produce an online video so people can see it. But it really depends on the technologies that will be available in the future. You know, maybe in 6 months' time there will be an EPUB authoring software that is WYSIWYG. That would be nice for the individual author, because it means that they can add, add another venue of their works. But for now, it's really down to the nitty-gritty hand coding, HTML, CSS, etc.
And hopefully there will come a time, when we would be having DIY ebooks that will eventually help us convert our manuscripts into professional-looking ebooks. And anyway, if you guys who are with us would like to post questions to any of our expert speakers, you can visit flipsidepublishing.wordpress.com. That's their blog. So if you have any inquiries about ebooks or ebook formatting or the programming, you can post it there. You can even go to their blog and suggest what topics you would like to have a future webinar on. And I'm sure Flipside would be willing to tailor-make a webinar to address your concerns. Anyway, again, that's all the time we have. If you like this webinar and would like to have a webinar of your own, you can always email Jam Mayer of Mayer Virtual Consulting. That's at jam@mayervirtualconsulting.com, or you can go to Facebook and like us. That's the Philippine Webinars page. Incidentally, on March 21st, that's a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, as I mentioned a while ago. Thank you, Joanna Rico, for correcting me. March 21, Wednesday at 9 p.m., we will have a special webinar, From Friend Zone to Love Zone. That's a relationship webinar if you want to go towards the next step. We have our expert speaker, Eileen Santos, who's a relationship expert. And we hope you can join us then. Anyway, in behalf of Mayer Virtual Consulting and Flipside Digital Content, thank you for joining us. This has been your host, Carlo Vergara, wishing you a good week ahead.